Am I the wrong one for donating my daughter's college fund instead of giving it to my stepdaughter to help buy a house? So I have a 16-year-old daughter that passed away in a car accident October 19th. I've been collecting a college fund for her since she was young. My ex-husband and I both put money into it as well as she put some of her paychecks from work into it, and it's about $25,000 full. I recently got remarried to a man who has a 30-year-old daughter. My stepdaughter doesn't like me because I'm only 3 years older than her. My husband is significantly older than I am. My daughter was very passionate about the environment, and my ex-husband and I discussed what we would do with the college fund. My husband says it was my daughter and I can do what I feel is right to honor her. We decided to divide it and we would each donate to charities we felt would make our daughter proud. My stepdaughter however thinks we should split it evenly and she should get some cushion for buying a house, since I'm married to her father and that makes my contribution his money too. She thinks donating essentially $13,000 wouldn't mean anything to a big charity and I could help someone I know in real life. My husband has since joined her side and thinks $13,000 would help her buy a house and we can honor my daughter in another way. AITA for not wanting to change my plans? Edit. There seems to be some confusion and I'm so sorry for wording it poorly. My ex-husband and I, and a little bit my daughter are the sole people putting money into the fund. My current husband has not put any money into the fund from his personal finances. My stepdaughter and my biological daughter did not have a relationship, as my stepdaughter is almost twice her age. I am 33, my husband is 58. We have a joint house account, as well as separate personal funds. My stepdaughter has brought this up multiple times. It wasn't just a suggestion, she constantly brings it up. My stepdaughter is also not poor off financially. She can afford a house, she is single. My husband helped her pay off her debt before we got married. She just wants some cushion. Edit number 2. I am dividing the funds with my ex-husband, not my husband now. My ex-husband gets half to do with as he pleases to honor our daughter. My current husband gets nothing. Not the wrong one. What a greedy young woman your stepdaughter is. That wouldn't be honoring your daughter, really, as it has nothing to do with her. Stick to your guns. Not the wrong one. She is not entitled to your daughter's college fund. I'm actually appalled that she would even ask for it. More so that her father has taken her side. I'm astounded that people like this actually exist. Am I the wrong one for telling my cousin I won't make an exception for her son at my wedding? I, 26 years old female, am getting married in about 2 months. I sent out my wedding invitations recently and at the bottom it says adults only, no exceptions. First let me say that I love kids. But my fiancé and I made the decision to not allow kids/babies to our ceremony because they get bored, cry, won't sit still, have tantrums. And I just don't want that to happen during our wedding. We're also going to have an open bar, and I don't particularly want a bunch of drunk adults around my little cousins or my friends' children. I have a cousin, we'll call her Sam, that texted me last night saying so you're dead honest seriously telling me I cannot bring her son to your wedding, to which I said yes. Sam responds then I can't come and that F kills me. I just want you to know how badly I want to be there and I have dreamt my entire life of standing next to you at your wedding. But I just can't want to be somewhere with someone who doesn't want the other half of my heart there. She's trying guilt trip me into letting her bring her son, saying and I've confided in my best friends and they say it's your wedding, it's your right to have it the way you want. But yeah, I just want you to know it's not vengeance when I don't come. I'll probably cry like a bee the entire day. I suggested that she take her son, he's 7, to his friend's house for a few hours, so that she can attend. She says I can't just tell him no and leave him somewhere. I'm not strong enough to do that to his sensitive little heart. I could, if he wasn't so aware and sensitive. It would hurt him too much. He's too smart to manipulate. I'm not asking her to manipulate her son. I'm asking that she be an adult, and tell him he can't come and that children aren't allowed to attend, so she'll take him to his friends while she's gone. Not to mention, that she's angry that I didn't choose her to be my maid of honor. I chose my stepsister. While on the phone, Sam said I don't mean any offense by this, but F her. She's literally only mad because my dad cheated on my mom 10 years ago and married the woman he cheated with. She hates my sister, because she hates my stepmom. I ended up being on the phone with her for half an hour talking to her about this, with her constantly telling me I'm trying to get sober, so I just wanted to talk to you and tell you how I feel. Which to me, sounds like she's going to blame me if I still tell her no, and she decides to drink/so drugs again. We ended the phone call with her saying, will you just promise me one thing, even if it's a lie? Will you just promise me that you'll consider it, and that you'll talk to your fiancé about it? So I told her yes, that I promised I'd consider it/talk to him about it. And I did, I considered it, I talked, angry cried, to him, and I'm not changing my mind. Am I the a-hole? Update. I texted her 2 days ago, and used the wording suggested by you/Sunny_Sally. There's nothing I want more than for you to be at my wedding. I love her son, but after speaking to fiancé, we came to the conclusion that we still do not feel comfortable having kids at our wedding. This is a decision we made before we started the planning, knowing that some people might disagree with it. If you aren't able to get a babysitter, I would completely understand why you wouldn't come. And I also spoke with her stepdad. He said he will be attending. She responded in less than a minute and said okay. So I guess we'll see how this goes. Jesus. After reading all that, I'd rather the kid came by himself and she stayed home. In general, I think it's assholish to hold no-kid ceremonies when several people have kids who know you and who are old enough to want to come. But not the wrong one. Am I the wrong one for telling my sister that her husband was bullcraping her? Edit. I got overwhelmed trying to respond to comments, but thanks a ton to everyone who commented. To people asking whether my in-laws are really named Jake and Leah, no, it comes from a Bible story, and I thought I'd be clever with the aliases. To people asking why I haven't intervened before in my sister's relationship, I've tried to gently bring it up, but I was worried about hurting her or being wrong. My partner and I are currently stuck in my home state due to the pandemic, but I actually have a job in another country that I'll be returning to once the pandemic ends. I haven't been around my sister too much in the past year, but I did try to call her a few times a week before I moved back. Finally, to the people calling my sister stupid, she is not. Please have a little empathy. The idea that your husband might be cheating can be hard to face. This is a wild situation. To give some background, I, 32 years old female, have a sister Leah, 26 years old female. She's been married to Jake for 5 years, and they have 2 kids. We all grew up very Christian. I ended up leaving the church, but my sis and Bill are still on fire Christians. Anyway, Leah has mentioned things to me that seem very sketchy. I think Jake is cheating, but she won't accept the thought. He leaves their bed at night and doesn't come back till after work the next day. He hides money, and he's trying not to conceive another kid with my sister. I've gently tried to give her a reality check, but it hasn't worked. Well, on Friday after work they came over to swim, totally fine in our state. Jake was swimming with the kids, and my sister and I were sitting in the grass keeping an extra eye on them. Jake had lots of red scratches on his back. To me they looked like fingernails. I made a joke to my sister about their dry spell being over, and she said they still hadn't had sex in a year. I gently told her that they looked like finger marks, and that it was sketchy as hell. She said casually that Jake had gone on a prayer walk with his men's group and had been spiritually attacked by a demon. Now, we grew up with these kinds of beliefs, but I told her that was crazy and just an excuse. She got really flustered and pulled her kids out of the pool. She told Jake she had a headache, and they left. AITA for telling my sister my concerns. Should I have stayed out of her business? I mean, not the wrong one for trying to help, but if your sister is so deeply deluded she thinks her husband's sex marks are from a demon, there's no helping her see the light. I would just drop it. Not the wrong one, the husband is, but at this point, you've done all you can. Your sister is in denial. Pushing further will just push her away, perhaps even after she comes to terms with it. Am I the wrong one for not making my son share his gaming PC? I am 45F and my husband 50M has a 16-year-old son. He is a good kid, good grades, respectful, does his chores, etc. Last summer my son said that he wanted a new computer. To his credit, he got a part-time job and saved up for it, and built a pretty nice gaming PC. We are really proud of him, as he saved for it nearly all summer. My sister and her husband have recently moved in with us. They have a 9-year-old son. My sister has a history of IDK, how to put it, being entitled. She thinks her kid can do no wrong and spoils her kid. Well, when they came over, my nephew noticed my son's PC. He asked if he can play on it. My son said not now. That was the end of it for a couple of days. Again, my nephew wanted to play on it. I asked my son if he minded sharing. He said he would rather not since it's expensive and doesn't want it to break. This has caused a big argument. My sister says it's extremely unfair to my nephew because he doesn't have a system to play on, just his iPad, so my son should have to share. I told her it's his PC, not mine. He paid for it, so it's up to him. She then accused me of being a spineless parent. I said I'm not, but I'm not going to force my son to share his own computer. My nephew ended up having a huge fit, which she then blamed me for his fit, but gave him 3 more hours of iPad time to quiet him down. It's been 4 days and my sister hasn't brought it up directly again. Just being passive-aggressive. While on one hand, I don't want to make my kid share, Because it's his computer, he saved up for it and I don't feel it would be the right thing to do, to force my kid to share. On the other hand, I do feel kinda bad for my nephew. Am I the wrong one? Edit. I went to bed with probably less than 100 comments, and now my inbox is 1,500 full. There is no way I can read them all, so thank you to everyone. And I have an update. I showed my sister this post, I guess a bad idea in hindsight. She was pissed and screamed at me at my son. My husband told her to GTFO. This is the main point. IT's not your computer, so you have no say in who uses it. Your son paid for it. Your sister and her kids sound like entitled brats. Not the wrong one for not giving in. Not the wrong one. Please don't force your child to share his own belongings, especially a computer, which is kind of a personal thing, just to satisfy someone else's bratty child. Am I the wrong one for inviting my brother to my wedding, but not his wife? I'm engaged. My fiancée is fat. She was when I met her. I've always found her irresistibly sexy. Not looking for commentary or unsolicited advice on this point. My fiancé and I sent out save the dates for the wedding. My brother got one. His wife very intentionally did not. He got married last year. His wife had all my siblings' significant others as bridesmaids, whether they were married or dating. Even my other brother's girlfriend, who he'd only been with for a few months. I'd been with my girlfriend for nearly 5 years at that point, and everyone knew it was a question of when, not if, we'd get married. She didn't ask my girlfriend to be a bridesmaid because she didn't want to be constrained to picking a bridesmaid's dress available in plus sizes, and did not want to have my girlfriend in her wedding photos. I'm not speculating. That's not something I ever could have guessed. That's what she said, in her own words, when we arrived at the wedding to find everyone else's so's were bridesmaids, but her, and asked what was going on. I thought maybe it was a bridezilla moment and she'd realize how hurtful it was later. But it's been over a year, and while my brother has apologized again and again for ever having allowed that to happen, why he's invited, his wife never did at all. Even when it's been brought up in front of her, we've only seen them a couple times since the wedding, and my fiancé has tried to forgive and forget. But it's still uneasy between us because of the singular lens we now know she views my fiancé through. My fiancé doesn't mind grinning and bearing for the occasional family event we have to attend, but I didn't feel like it would be right to make her spend her wedding day with someone who would ever treat her as less than human. We're having a very intimate wedding, 20 people and 12 our family. Having that woman there would taint the whole dynamic. That being said, the rest of my family is understandably upset. My family, my brother especially, feel like we're trying to make them choose sides. In my other brother's words, even if that wasn't your intention, it's the result, and that's a real a-hole move none of us deserve. We didn't do anything to your fiancé. I definitely don't want to make anyone choose sides, and he's not wrong that they didn't cause the problem and don't deserve the fallout. But my wife also deserves a wedding day with only people who love and cherish her. AITA for not inviting my brother's wife? Oh crap. She actually came out and said that? Listen, your brother has to do what he has to do. That's his wife. If he picks her side here, so be it. But you have to do what you have to do too. This is your wife here. Pick her side. Not the wrong one, and you shouldn't give a damn what the rest of your family thinks. I'll tell you why. It's not just that your brother's wife didn't ask your fiancé to be in the wedding party, it's that your whole family knew while this was happening, and they let you walk into that ceremony and be sandbagged. Think about all the texts, and dress fittings, and so on that had to happen in the weeks and months leading up to that wedding. And not one single person in your family said, "Hey, this makes me uncomfortable," and I don't know if you realize, they just let you walk in, and let you and your fiancé be humiliated. So, screw them in their choosing sides. They already chose sides when they let that happen to you. Am I the wrong one for banning my parents from my wedding if they don't attend a tea ceremony? I'm 29 years old female, going to get married this September, if a certain unnamed virus let us. For important context, I am white, but my fiancé, 31 years old male, is Chinese American. I'm going to admit that I'm one of those girls who has been planning her dream wedding since I was a girl. My husband doesn't care as much and told me that I could plan the entire thing to my heart's content with one caveat. There's an important Chinese tea ceremony wherein the bride and groom make tea for both sets of parents and then the parents give them gifts. It's incredibly important to him and the only thing he wants on our wedding day. Okay, he also consulted on the food and he wants to marry me lol. He's been planning that, which will happen shortly before the wedding and will be a smaller ceremony with only family and very close friends. Today, while Zooming with my parents said they found the whole ritual absurd and stupid and that she was going to skip it. Well, considering they're an integral part of it, that doesn't work for me. They couldn't even explain why they thought the ritual was stupid, just that it was. I basically told them that if they skipped the tea ceremony, they should skip the wedding as well. That led to a lot of crying and arguments, and now my parents aren't talking to me and my sisters have sent me texts about how irrational I'm being, how I'm being cruel, and how I'm being a bridezilla. But this is important to my future husband, so it's important to me. It's the only thing he really insisted upon for this wedding. But they are my parents and I want them to beat my wedding. AITA? Not the wrong one. I have a feeling the whole thing will be a lot more pleasant without their racist asses there. Edit. Thank you all for the awards, as well as for the 100 plus messages saying THTS and not racist. A pleasure as always, Reddit. Not the wrong one. That's absurd. It sounds like this tea ceremony is basically part of the wedding. I'd be more understanding if they were hesitant or nervous about messing something up, but it sounds like they're just being stubborn and controlling. I say stand your ground. They're overstepping their boundaries here, and if barring them from the wedding is the only thing that will make them understand that, then do it. Thank you all for listening. Have a great day. See you later.